Morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here one day more in this GIS conference. I would like to thank all the attendants to this second panel on control and enforcement. Thank you for being here today with us, sharing your comments and your thoughts. I would like to welcome particularly attendants from the different EU countries and also from all around the world, as we have participants from Chile, China, Cameroon, Argentina, Georgia, Canada. Thank you for being here today. In this panel, we will go further regarding controls and enforcement as a key aspect of GI regulation at the EU level. Without a good and efficient control and enforcement GI system, this regime can fail. And we need to have coherence in the system, as we have seen in the previous panel, in the panel regarding refit with Francis Fay. It's important to remember that we are facing an IP right that has evolved during the times. It's a result of the history and the traditions, and we are dealing with a particular creature, and it is not very easy because it moves. Its legal nature has not been static, and this conference and the issues we are dealing with, it's a good proof of it. Here, as we know, GIs are a particular kind of IP right protecting groups of beneficiaries of this right and also the consumer, but not only that. This right is also a tool to protect European cultural heritage, preserving the quality and the diversity of the Union cultural production. And in this regard, it represents a key element to facilitate digital and green transition. So we can't think that GIs are like, a distinctive sign similar to trademark enjoying higher protection. They share with trademark the character of a distinctive sign, but GIs have a specific legal regime with different requirements and limits due to the need to respect their different function as well as competition principle. So GIs infringement attack a sign condensing a cultural heritage, and it's our responsibility to have regulation taking this higher value into consideration. For those reasons, I would like to recognize and welcome the efforts of the European Commission and particularly the DG Agri in this regard. And I think this conference is an excellent demonstration of its commitment. So regarding the organization of this panel, as it's a feedback panel, I would like to highlight that we would like to hear your voices and your comments. And as we like to hear comments from different perspectives, in this regard, we have some relevant stakeholders attending this conference, and they have a positive response to our call in this regard, in order to make some comments regarding their particular experience. Taking into account this fact, we will start with them, with their comments, and after we will open the floor for all the attendants. And in order to achieve a better organization and to try to follow all the intervention, I would like to invite the audience to raise their questions through the chat. And after, I will ask you to formulate your question with your micro in live, if you agree, of course. So as our first participant, our first stakeholder, I would like to welcome David Tual. Please, David Tual, you have the floor.
Good morning, Pilar. Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be with you today, this morning. My name is David Tual. I'm Managing Director of Insight Consulting and EU advisor to numerous GI producers and EU organizations on GIs. First of all, I wanted to thank the Commission for the organization of this great conference on GI, which is very interesting. And also congratulate you, Pilar, and the people who took part in the panel yesterday on enforcement and control, because it was a very interesting session. It was great to hear about the challenges facing both the GI producers, but also the public authorities when it comes to control and enforcement. It was also very comforting to hear that the national authorities like MIPAF is coming up with new ideas which are proving very efficient when it comes to protection of GIs online, for instance, but also very interesting to learn more about the custom applications for action from EU IPO and the custom authorities and the GI view database. What I really wanted to say further to yesterday's discussion is that what I take from the discussion of yesterday is that it's a big challenge to fight against fraud and to ensure GI protection. And we obviously, both at the private sector level and the public sector level, have limited resources. So this creates a huge challenge for everyone. And with that in mind, I wanted to share with you three ideas that we can discuss during these debates. The first of all is that I think it's very important, taking that into account, the limited resources that we all have, is that we improve the protection, the cooperation, between GI producers and the public authorities to reduce cost and to improve the efficiency of the actions that are undertaken to fight against fraud. Concretely, we could look at different things, but first of all, I think that GI groups should be allowed to contribute more to the enforcement through market monitoring and fraud detection together with the national authorities. That's one element. The second element I would say is that we know that the ex officio protection, which is a great asset to the GI world, is not working well in all member states. There needs to be some improvement there for sure, and at least some best practice exchanges should be organized to improve that. My third point is that we have also come across a number of great rulings from the European Court of Justice recently in the last few years, and good decisions from the EU IPO as well. These decisions and rulings have to be shared and promoted towards national judges and national authorities in charge of control, because that could make a difference in terms of enforcement. And the last point on this private-public partnership is that I know in the past GI producers, some of them have tried to work a bit with custom authorities to provide some training and explain to them a bit more how the GI world works and how to detect fraud. But I think that more needs to be done. So GI producers should work more with custom authorities to provide this support to be more efficient. So that was my first point on private and public partnership. My second point is that obviously it's very important to fight against fraud, but it would be also as much important and interesting to look at how we can prevent fraud. To that end, I think that we have to have some changes in the EU regulations. And here I would like to make 2 points. First of all, I think that we should empower more GI producer groups to enforce their GI rights. It's not clear, and we've heard yesterday in different panels that it can be a challenge. We saw that with Scotch Whisky Association yesterday. And my second point is that we also, I think, need to allow GI producer groups to have a say on the use of their GIs further down the food chain. Because at the moment they can control the GI until the production, and then it can be used in ways that they have no control on, and that's not very interesting and not very useful, and it encourages fraud. We have a great example. It comes from Mexico with the tequila. There's a law there which forces people who want to export, to bottle tequila, to enter in an agreement with the tequila producers. So it's a license, and they commit to not infringe the GI, and if they do, they lose their license. So I think that should be explored at EU level, a modification to include what I call this license option in the GI specification, if this is obviously of interest to the GI group in charge of the GI. So after this, my second point on preventing fraud, I think I come to my last point, which is also very relevant, where I see some positive signs, is that we need also to address and to improve the means of protection, because we are finding ourselves fighting new types of frauds. obviously fraud online, but also more and more parasitism, which is the tendency by operators, sometimes even in the GI groups themselves, so even GI producers, surfing on the GI by putting on the market very similar products. So they are undermining the GI. We have also, of course, the abuse of the GIs that are used as ingredients in different recipes, and GIs frauds on goods in transit. The good news for me is that we've seen that in the context of the reform of the Common Agricultural Policy, but also of the 1151/2012, which is currently going through a trilogue discussion at the EU level. The members of the parliament have tabled amendments to actually deal exactly with these problems. And they've come up with great solutions and great improvement to the GI rules. So I really hope that, and my clients, the GI producers groups, really hope that they will be adopted very soon by the Council and the Parliament, and supported by the Commission, so they can be implemented soon and allow for better enforcement of GI protection in the EU. So these are my comments. I hope this is of interest and that we will have an interesting debate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. I think you have raised very good issues in this regard, and it will be, I think, very interesting to discuss a little bit further. But now, if you allow me, I will give the floor to our next stakeholder. Our next speaker will be Javier Mate. Please, Javier, you have the floor.
Hello. First of all, I want to say thank you for DG Agri and Europol for this big event, because during the last 4 years, these annual events are increasing and increasing the importance and the number of the people who are following this event. My name is Javier Mate. I am the head of the unit of geographical indications in the Ministry of Agriculture in Spain. I want to explain our experience in relation with the controls and enforcement in the online market. I think that you are, my presentation is on the floor. I don't know.
Yeah, please, the presentation of Javier Mate, if you have it, please. I think. Yes, thank you very much.
Well, okay. This is the first page with my name and my ministry. You pass the next slide, please. Okay. As I said to you, the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food receives a misuse case of a protected name such as OP or TSA with one of the following sources. Then, what is the meaning of that? That we are involved in the control when someone said to us that one right is misuse. Then we can the sources of this information could be coming from the competent authorities at the regional level of Spain or other member state or other third country, including the embassies of third countries in Spain. Spain is a country that has 17 authorities in regional areas, and each one could ask us, like ministry, to take action in relation with something that happens or that they saw in the online market. In relation with embassy of their country, we have two cases, one coming from Italy and the other one from Japan, in relation with misuse of the names of PDO in online market. The other source could be the report from consumers, association of consumers, including tourist people, that asking us through the email that they have some problem with some product that someone sell to us as PDO and then it isn't PDO. The third one is the report that coming from management bodies of the PDO, PG or TSG. In the next slide, we can see the procedure that we have with the two big platform enterprise of online market. We're talking about Amazon and we're talking about eBay. In relation with Amazon, we have a relation, an agreement with them. In the case that we saw some infringement of the law, we can make a statement signed by the Director of Food Quality Schemes of Spain, is me, with the next point. We need to fill the product detected with a misuse of the protect term, where misuse has been detected in labeling or in advertisement or in both cases. In the website links where the misuse is detected inside the platform, the name of the company, the enterprise who sells the product, the registration in the US register of the PDO and the related regulation published in the journal of the EU, the transcription of the articles of the European regulation about protection that has detected the misuse, an explanation about specific elements that must be contained in products PDO, PGE, the justification of why that product detected no compliance with the PDO, PG or TCG schemes. In the next slide, we can see the next point, who has made the report. In this case, Spain competent authority is a MAPA, the ministry. The name of rights holder, MAPA in representation of all the PDOs, PGs of Spain, identification of the claimed EPR, in this case in the articles of the legislation, for example, this article of the regulation 1151 of 2012, the Ambrosia link where it's registered, the URL is included, the Amazon identification code, called ASIN in Amazon code, the declaration that everything above report is true and accurate, signed, of course, the statement, and sent to this special email of Amazon. Then is a very complex statement that we need to sign it, but this is the rule of the Amazon. In the next slide, we could see the procedure in the platform eBay. eBay has a video program, is an special programs to send reports of misused products sold on his platform. Is necessary register as an authorized contact as the holder of the EPR in Vero program. We need to send an infraction claim notice from that contains the intellectual property holder, MAPA representative of all PDOs of Spain, information about the person who sings, the code number, if the misuse is in the label of the product or in the advertisement of the product, the name unduly used, the article number of eBay register, the statement more or like Amazon's, and send to this special email of eBay. Then in the next slide we can see with our experience. In general terms, our experience is very positive. Amazon, in 2 days, the web page that we denounced, they block it. To unblock the operator, must contact with us, with the ministry, and demonstrate that the misuse has been solved. Then the ministry send a letter to Amazon for unblocking this web page. Obviously, Amazon acts according every country legislation. The experience is very satisfactory in Europe, but when it's a third country, we have some problems because the legislation of these third countries doesn't protect properly like the union, the PDO names. eBay is a win-win reaction, 7 days more or less, but it's more guaranteed because the procedure has a legal solidity. eBay has the same procedure when they unblock the website of the seller. In the next page, we can explain something about other web page experience. We have experience with supermarket websites with more or less 3 or 4 complaints per year. We send from the ministry directly warning emails to this supermarket website, receiving good reaction in general terms. Usually they didn't know the IPR of the PDOs, and they recall the product or solve the problem. In relation with private enterprise websites, we send around 9-10 complaints per year with these warning emails, in the same procedure. They usually ask some question because they didn't understand and they ask us for some acceleration, but at the end they resolve the problem. Usually the problem coming from the advertisement of the foods. Other ways to action is in relation with newsletters, blogs, sector media, menus of restaurants sometimes, and we send around 4-6 complaints per year. This is especially problematic in the wine and the spirit drink sector, with little details mistakes. We send warning email and they asking very well. And we have other 2 cases in Facebook. But it's very important for us to create a direct email relationship with the person enterprise involved, with ministry shield, in a didactic warning style, because in general terms, it's ignorance on the part of advertisements and sellers about these PDO foods that they had intellectual property rights. And they have, we need to in the line of my predecessor, we think that we need to push in relation with the knowing this IPR to the citizens, like this campaign that recently appears in the web and in the Spanish media. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Javier, for your approach regarding the Spanish as a public authority, regarding the Spanish minister in this function regarding controls and enforcement of GIs. Now, let me give the floor to Adrien Trucas. Please, Adrien Trucas, you have the floor. You can introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm Adrien Trucas on behalf of Searchpack. Searchpack is a certification body that operates in France mainly for the control about 110 GIs, I'll say, PGI and PDOs, like cognac, Camembert de Normandie, Volaille de Brest, Brest poultry, but even some non-agri ones, because we got a GI non-agricultural system in France, like Porcelaine de Limoges, and more recently, Linge Basque. First of all, thanks for having me here. Thanks for the UIPO and the European Commission. I've heard many interesting things. Thanks, Javier and David. And there is a lot of challenges. As a certification body, the main one for us is to conduct on a daily basis and carry out our control missions in compliance with the European regulations. That means in accordance with the 17065 standards that we are accredited for by the COFRAC in France, and complying with the directives coming from our competent authority in France, which is the INAO, the National Institute of Quality and Origin. And we can hear that there is, as David was saying, like that needs resources from the competent authorities, from the GI producers group, and the certification body as well. There is cost in terms of resource and benefits. So there is many questions. What could be the costs in the solution that that goes through an harmonizations of the rules regarding the GI control. On this first point, I'll say that the new control regulation, or the OCR that came into force, I think it was last December, was created on that. It seems for me that the official control regulations, the 217-/625, was developed in particular to meet this objective on a GI control by specifying or recalling that the single authority to manage and supervise the official controls, even if delegated to certification body. And controls official that must be performed without prior notice, that we're working on that. Relevant information on the official controls that must be accessible to the public. And for me, from my point of view and the Adrian point of view, is I think that's one of the most important things, to let the consumer know what's behind those logos, the PGI and the PDO logos. This is really important to know what's behind that. To know the certified operators that are actually doing their jobs and are voluntarily committed into the GI process, and to make sure that all the delegated bodies, the control bodies, are accredited against 17065 standard, guaranteeing the competences, the confident, and to make sure that they comply with all the control standards norms. The question is, what subsidiarity could emerge at the EU level on the state competent authority? In France, so far, necessary measures are already implemented and at the certification bodies level within the framework of combined controls. As I said, we were controlling about 110 GIs, and I was in another panel just before, and we can see that we have many operators that are doing many GIs products, especially in wines and even cheese though. So when we do our control, we might control few GIs at the same time. So this is a kind of benefit when we control. We don't have to do 3 or 4 interventions. We did it all at the same time. But it's also in some case, in agreement with the competent authorities, we might have some recognitions of the operator certification on the GI similar requirements and category of operations. And we also can mention the main GI pullback. That's a thing we got in France. We call it repli. It's to make sure that the GI products on the same areas and lower requirements can be done. It's like who can do more can do less. In France, we have a new general rules that's coming up, which is based on the implementation of the common control provisions for all signs of identification of quality and origin, except organic farming. So we've got a control plan which is directly related to the book of specifications that we've got to control. And this new rule is based on the system completed by the specific control provisions drafted by the certification body, which are suggested as specific to the GI book of specifications. Now, that means we have common provisions of control regarding like all the cheeses, but obviously we have specific GI points to control regarding Brillat Savarin, which is different from Camembert de Normandie. But anyway, we might have a main control provisions regarding the cheeses in PDO and PGIs. We've been talking, and David made a point on that about the frauds. Well, fraud services might be in a better place to talk about that, but me. But from my point of view, and for what I've seen by doing controls on some inspections, and within Searchpack operators, very few frauds are detected by our services. Fraud is mainly committed by professionals who are usually not involved in the GI procedures, as they are not certified, which is a voluntary commitment. We don't have to forget that it is a voluntary commitment from the operators to get into a GI scheme of certification. The producers group, I think David talked about that, which is the GI collective organization, does very important work to promote the GI and defend their name, very much in anticipation of this kind of situation. Still, we are not fraud services, and our certification inspectors are not sworn by the state. So, and we have to remind that at the certification body level, our control perimeter is established according to the frame of the book of specification only. So we don't do any control on the market. We do control to the operators that are voluntarily engaged in the GI scheme. Just to get back as well on the point that David raised, how the producers could maybe more actively participate into the GI enforcement. In France, we have the GI collective organization, the GI producers group. I guess that if we have a look at the French experience right now, we observe the progressive implementation of databases, allowing operators to confirm their identity elements, addresses, manager, contact, but also the request for certification extension or even answers to failures treatment. This type of tool will make it possible then to limit the latency of the application reviews, according to the 17065 standard, and increasing the reactivity of each stakeholder of the system and have an accurate information at all times. The operator, the producers group, the certification body, the competent authority, and the European Commission, and maybe an information that comes from the certification body database that goes up to the competent authority database, and then finally to the GI view. And this way, someone that in other European countries that buys a slice, well, a big slice of cheese that's been wrapped up by some operators in Germany that bought maybe a big Conte cheese in France, that operator in other country will be able to check on the GI view if that operator that is cutting the cheese to sell it in somewhere else has been certified or has been controlled regarding the GI process. I think from my point of view as a certification body, that will be all the elements I'd like to point out. Thanks, Pilar.
Thank you very much, Adrien. I can see that this panel. In this panel, we have so many different questions. So I would like, but if you want, I would like to continue with our next speaker, and perhaps after everyone has said the little words, we can discuss because I can see that we will have lots of issues to speak about. So right. Thank you so much, Adrien, for your point of view. Very interesting indeed. And now I would like to ask Jackie Marteau, please, to take the floor.
Okay, thank you very much, Pilar. So I'm waiting for the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, here we are. So thank you, Pilar, and many thanks to DG Agri and EU APO to having organized this very interesting and event, and thanks also for giving us the opportunity to present or show what the European Anti-Fraud Office is doing in that field. So as you, okay, so let me, it's quite, yeah, here we are. So maybe most of you know the main mission of the European Anti-Fraud Office, which is to protect the financial interest of the EU, but we have also another mission, which is a key one, which is in a sense to protect the integrity of the EU single market and to fight against illicit trade, and in particular to fight against infringements of IPR rights, IP rights, and including GIs. And this mission stems from two regulations. One regulations which is about cooperation between customs administrations, which allow us to not only coordinate investigations, but to initiate some investigations on our own. And another regulation, which has already been mentioned by several speakers, the regulation concerning customs enforcement of intellectual property rights. So, just to give you a broad overview of our investigative tools. So the European Anti-Fraud Office is an investigative body. So it means that we are not only capable of coordinating investigations from the activities of different member states, but we can decide to launch investigations on our own. And by doing that, we are able to interview suspicious operators. We can go on site and collect documents, accounting documents. We can carry out forensic acquisitions, and we can also take and check samples. We have also the possibility to indeed work closely with the law enforcement agencies of the member states. And we have also, that's one of our specificities, concluded a lot of cooperation arrangements with third countries. Just to give you one example, I mean, we have a working arrangements with the US Customs, with the US IPR Center. We have also a cooperation with the FDA. And we have 3 liaison officers based in quite key countries when it comes to IPR infringement. One is in Beijing, the second one in Kiev, and the third one in the United Arab Emirates. We are receiving a lot of intelligence and information from different sources, from law enforcement agencies, from right holders, and that's something we are very proud of. We have established a very good cooperation with a wide range of right holders. We are working also very closely with many surveillance market authorities, and in particular, national food regulatory authorities. We have different tools for exchanging information with very secured communication channels, and we are using, of course, I mean, the IP enforcement portal of the EU IPO, which is very effective and instrumental when we want to reach out to, in particular, surveillance market authorities or right holders. We are using also specialized database, and we have a specialized analytical team who is monitoring the internet and not only the open source, the open sources, but also the darknet. And in this fight against fraud, I mean, this is now very, very key, important to be able to go on the darknet and investigate marketplaces that are hosted in this darknet and all the websites. So just to give you a broad example overview of ongoing investigations when indeed infringement of GIs are involved. So we have several investigations related to wines or alcohol beverages. We have in particular an ongoing investigation on brandy. Thanks to information received from different stakeholders, we have identified a quite large fraud scheme occurring across different member states, Spain, Bulgaria, France, but also neighboring countries, Georgia and Moldova. And this fraud scheme aims at selling corn distillate as a white distillate for the production of brandy. So the investigation is still ongoing. We are also targeting infringement of GIs related to food products, and we have several investigations related to one or olive oil. And I will give you maybe more details about one of these investigations. It concerns illicit production and imports of fake prosecco. So this is here as well a fraud that has been, which has been running for several years, since 2017. And unfortunately is still ongoing. We have already identified a site of production. We are also now, we have got a quite clear view of the logistic chain, but we know that there are a myriad of companies active in this field. In several EU member states. And we have also identified the head of the organization behind this traffic. He is running several companies, including logistic companies. So we have a quite clear view of what is happening. Now we still have to identify the origin of the product, and we were planning an on-site investigations, but unfortunately, I mean, it has been rescheduled for due to the COVID restrictions. And we are cooperating very closely with the EU customs authorities from different member states, Bulgaria, France, Belgium. And we have also close connection, close cooperation with the Food Standards Agency in the UK and with the Italian food agency as well, and the consortium Tutelo of Prosecco. So this is one example of our investigations. We are also cooperating very closely with, other organizations, in particular Europol. We were given by Europol the lead of an action which is managed under the framework of Hobson, and this action took place between December last year and May. We seized, thanks to this operation, we were able to seize more than 1.2 million liters of alcoholic beverages, and among these seizures, a quite large share concern counterfeit or fake champagne. So if I just try the most, if I conclude by, I would like just to conclude by identifying two main challenges. So the first one is regarding what should be the final goal of our activities. seizing goods, it's not enough. I mean, what we should aim is at dismantling the fraudulent networks. And this is quite difficult because, I mean, a lot of these organizations are putting in place very complex organization with a distribution of tasks with several groups specialized in different activities, logistics, maintenance, transports, and they are also very eager or clever to create long chains of intermediary shell companies. So that's the main challenge we are facing. And of course, to tackle this issue, it requires a strong cooperation between a lot of actors, right holders, law enforcement agencies, and market surveillance authorities. The second main challenge, as already mentioned several times, it's connected to e-commerce and the online sales. And here as well, I mean, we have also approached online platforms. So they are making a lot of effort. I mean, they have concluded a lot of memorandum of understanding with national authority, with us as well, with other European agencies. But it's, I mean, taking down websites, it's one thing, but you know that it's very easy to create a new website the day after. So if we want to be effective, we should go a step beyond, and we should indeed target the organizations that are behind this illicit traffic. And to do so, we need to get access to more data to be able to carry out a proper risk profiling. Thank you, Pilar. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Javier Mate, for your speech and for your thoughts and comments regarding the important tasks you have in OLAF regarding this counterfeiting of products and particularly regarding enforcement in the market. And now I would like, even though it's true that we need to have some debate in this stakeholder debate, I will ask Carolina Martinez from the Jumilla Appellation of Origin. I would like to ask her to give, but I mean, if you can be really short in order to give 2 or 3 commentaries regarding this problem, and we will have time after to discuss between the rest of the public. Thank you very much, Carolina.
Thank you, Pilar. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I will be very quick because I think we are short of time. But I just want to say that I fully share and agree with the comments made before me, especially by the colleagues David and Adrian, who I think they have already exposed many of the challenges that operators, producers face regarding control and enforcement. In our case, I would like to point out that we are a medium-sized appellation of origin in terms of volume and, of course, financial and human resources. So sometimes we have special difficulties facing these infringements and control enforcement because we are modest in a way, and we don't have the resources and the legal instruments that maybe other stakeholders, other DOs in Spain, for example, or only Europe have. But nevertheless, we face the same issues, the same problems that have been exposed here, fraud in third countries, and very foreign countries or faraway countries, such as China, where this enforcement is especially difficult for us. We have an ongoing case, actually, of fraud in China, so I think it's very useful to have listened to our colleagues of OLAF, and of course, I know the Spanish ministry very well. But I'd like to point out some of the issues we are facing regarding also misuse of the name in appellations of origin. We have detected in last years that there are many operators outside an appellation of origin who like Adrian or David, I don't know who who has said it, sorry, are surfing the DOs. They are surfing the names. And this is something that really worries us, because there are most of the times they are outside the appellation of origin, and they are not authorized to use the protected name. They are not subject to our quality controls, who are very strict and supervised also by the competent authorities. And we are very worried, because there's this kind of anti-DO or appellation of origin movement in some areas here in Spain, for example, regarding wines. And this is something that really worries us, because I think they are really surfing, like Adrian said, the name. They are all misappropriating our names, and not only the name, but perhaps more the mentions we are allowed to use in a DO, such as, of course, the mention of the origin, also some specific traditional terms that are protected and only authorized for DOs or GIs in general, protected DOs or PGIs. They're really hindering our job, because they are in some cases attacking, specifically attacking the concept, the whole concept and the general concept of geographical indication. And as I said, they are, well, at the end, they are causing unfair competition to our operators, who are subject to very strict quality controls, and of course additional costs for the certification of the quality scheme. And this movement, this anti-geographical indication movement that I'd like to call, likes to undermine not only the concept of a geographical indication, but also the concept of a management body, such as the one I represent, the Jumilla Wine Board, and they picture us as rigid and stiff bodies who somehow work for dark interests and not small stakeholders or operators. And I think this is something that, now that the EU, the Commission is going to review its policy, I think that it could be something to take into account, that there is this anti-geographical indication movement who is really hindering our efforts, who are causing this unfair, very, very unfair competition to in our case, our sellers, our wineries. And of course, we have the fraud and the other misuse of name that our colleagues have already commented, so I don't want to go further into this. And thank you very much. I didn't mention, thank you very much, Pilar, and thank you very much, all the colleagues and all the speakers and everyone.
Thank you very much, Carolina, for your comments regarding the specificities of a particular appellation of origin, as you said, and medium size. I would like to go quickly to some raised hand we have, and also to some questions. Perhaps we can start with Elton Pepo, who has raised the hand. Please, you can have the floor. Elton Pepo is not here, so perhaps we can start with some questions we have also in the chat. So I would like to ask from Francis Fay to Adrien, what do you think is the message of the logos? I don't know if Francis is here. I haven't seen him. So if he's not here, I can ask the question, the first question we have. So what do you think is the message of the logos? Substance, like this is a quality product, or process, only this is a guarantee authentic product?
Well, I guess quality is a specific perception to each human being here. I think it's possible to guarantee quality distinct from another current or common product. We've got Label Rouge in France that is made for that, but it's a national scheme. regarding the PGIs and PDOs, those labels, we don't have to forget that this is a promise made to the consumers, right? When an operator engages himself voluntarily, commits himself in this, he made a promise to the consumer saying, my product is from there for the PGI. It's linked to the territory. For the PDOs, it's a link for the territory and the know-how, the savoir-faire, the terroir, as we say in France. I know that sometimes terroir is like really not understood besides France. But what I've seen, as I am a citizen and a consumer, and I've seen that the operators, they want, when they engage themselves in they're waiting for specific values, but they especially want to say, my product is from there, this is guaranteed. And I think I am working with the producers group right now, and he wants us to get in on the field and has a TV to say, look, consumers, when I commit myself in this PGI, I've got to be controlled. I've got to respect all the book specification. I'm controlled twice a year sometimes, maybe 4 times a year in poultry. And it is really, there is a lot of engagements in that. What I do think is the consumer might do not know what's behind those logos. And just to finish up that, the quality is specific to what the consumers, to the consumer sense. You see Chateau du Pape just behind me there. When you go to a shop, the average price of Chateau du Pape, I think it's around 30 or 35 euros sometimes in that time. When you've got a bottle of Chateau du Pape at 18 euros, obviously the quality won't be the same. The one is sold to 80 euros. So it's not about, it is a distinguished quality. It says it has to be different, but he wants to say where I am from and what's my know-how. This is what we're waiting behind the PGI and PDO. And I think that's the message that the European Commission has to send to the consumers.
Thank you very much, Adrien. I think that perhaps Javier Mate would like to add some comments in this regard. You need to raise your hand, I think. Wait, okay.
Hi. Thank you very much. Yes, I think that it's both parts of the message is interesting. It's interesting the part in relation of guarantee the authenticity of this product that is very special, because in any place of the world can you produce this product, and you must guarantee this. And of course, the traditional, the people that are behind the product, both things that are important. But that's by the consumer's point of view, the main point is the guarantee. If you sell to me a product with a shield saying to me that it is special, you must guarantee that seriously this is a special food. It's not a normal food, it's a special food. This is the meaning of these shields, these logos.
Thank you very much, Javier. I think we are a little bit run out of time. I am really sorry because with the people we have in this panel and so many issues in our table, it will be really difficult to conclude, but I think we need to do that because we have the plenary session now and we need to be on time. So I would like to thank you all for your collaboration and your participation here in this second panel. I would like to conclude telling that perhaps as a little conclusion that with the control, as we have seen with Javier, with controls, we guarantee the existence and the permanence of this added value of those products we are dealing with. And it's for that reason that we need an efficient enforcement system. And with
welcome back. It's the home stretch, nearly there, lunches before us as well. But before we get there, with some more tweets, then we have some presentations, some speeches from our participants today as well. So let me just highlight some of the tweets today with Irish meat producers.
Thank you so much to everyone.
And they were talking about the second day of debate and the proposal on Centre of Excellence National.
Yeah.